Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Indiana women's soccer impresses once again. We'll show you how they remained undefeated.
And IU football did the opposite. We'll give you the details from the disappointing performance against Akron. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Alex Hynes.
And I'm Maggie Sullivan. So Alex, it was a tough watch this weekend at Memorial Stadium.
It definitely was, but they pulled out in the end. Let's talk about a different type of football though. The Indiana women's soccer team played their second-ranked matchup of the season versus number 18 Northwestern Wildcats. Our William Stewart has the recap.
It was another beautiful Sunday for soccer at Bill Armstrong Stadium as the Indiana Hoosiers hosted the number 18 in the nation, Northwestern Wildcats, for their third Big Ten matchup of the season. And the Hoosiers started this match off fast. Hope Paredes had her first season goal in the second minute of this match.
It felt great to get my first goal of the season, and I just feel like our team, we all work hard every day, and we always have like the underdog mentality every time we train. And I think just for me to score, it just feels like everyone deserves it. Like we deserve it. We've been working really hard in the summer, and I feel like our mentality is just so much better this year.
Even though the Hoosiers started off quick on offense, it seemed to stall for both teams. As it was an undisciplined first half, the Hoosiers couldn't convert 1 of 5 shots, and Northwestern couldn't even get one up. Coach Van Bennekom thought the Hoosiers could have put Northwestern away in the first half, but instead the Wildcats lingered around all game. Close calls in the second half, but no one could find the back of the net after Paredes in the second minute. The Hoosiers would end up leading the Wildcats in every offensive statistic and got the 1-0 win. Coach Van Bennekom had this to say after the victory.
Huge win for our team. I think they starting to see the evidence of the work we put in the pressing and the running. And I'm so happy for them, and obviously great start of the Big Ten season, but I told them at the end I'm not even surprised anymore. So maybe a little bit at the front when we started, but now this is the new normal.
And as Coach Van Bennekom said, it's expected of this team to win this season. The Hoosiers add another tally to the win streak, making that 6 in a row. They moved to 9-0-2 overall, staying undefeated. They will then head to Columbus this Thursday to face the Ohio State Buckeyes for another Big Ten matchup. And for IUSTV Sports, I'm William Stewart.
Indiana is now ranked at 16 in the nation after picking up the 9th win of the season and their first ranked win of the year. They kick off at 7 p.m. tomorrow night in Columbus to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The Indiana volleyball team traveled to Madison on Sunday to take on number 1 Wisconsin. Despite efforts in the second set to hold off a sweep, the Hoosiers' 8-game streak came to a close. In front of a sold-out crowd, the Badgers won in 3 straight sets.
Yeah, I mean, I think just playing Wisconsin, like such a physical team, and obviously number 1 team in the country right now, like the experience you can get from that, and just like I think our second game in the Big Ten, having to be that competitive, really gets us in the mindset going forward, and I think that's really big.
I think it definitely shows us what we need to work on and areas that we need to improve so we can get into the gym and just get reps and work on those so that we can be better for the next game.
Indiana will host Iowa on Friday at 7 and number 2 Nebraska on Saturday at 7. With Big Ten play in full swing, follow along with IUSTV Sports for updates.
Indiana men's soccer is coming off their loss on Friday against Michigan State, still looking to find their first conference win of the season. Our Griffin Healy has more.
Despite having quality chances throughout Tuesday night's match against Michigan, Indiana men's soccer drew for the second time in its Big Ten season, falling to 0-1-2 in Big Ten play.
We weren't decisive. We played a little slow. They were slowing the game down. They obviously sat in a mid-block, low block. They haven't done that all year. And they slowed the game down. So we didn't get the tempo going as fast as we should. The urgency in the second half was way different. And that's what we needed a little bit earlier.
Despite the Hoosiers' offense not being able to convert for goals on Tuesday night, it was the defense that played stellar, also shutting Michigan out for the draw.
No, quite simple. I mean, my defenders make it so easy for me, and that's, a luxury of playing at Indiana. We have great defending principles. That's something that's trained in our players from the first day, and that's a standard. So, I'm very fortunate with a very great back line, and they limit teams to shots that I should deal with, and that's what we do.
The Hoosiers will go on the road to play against the Kentucky Wildcats next Tuesday. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Griffin Healy.
Coming up after the break, we crown this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And field hockey played their home opener. This is Hoosier Sports Night. Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week is IUSTV sports reporter Georgie Thomas. Georgie?
Thanks, Maggie. The Indiana football team was able to pull off a win this past weekend against Akron Zips 29-27. Thanks to a pivotal part in this 4-overtime victory, our Hoosier Highlight of the Week is senior defensive back Lewis Moore. Moore's ball hawk mentality was on full display as he recorded not one, but 2 of the 3 game-changing interceptions, recording his first 2 picks in college, as well as the first pick 6 of his career. In the second quarter, Moore intercepted Akron quarterback DJ Hynes, running it down to the Zips' 4-yard line. When Akron QB Jeff Undercuffler Jr. subbed in the third quarter, Moore pounced on a deflection from mishandled throw made to tight end TJ Banks and took it back for 6, giving the Hoosiers a 14-10 lead. The Hoosiers will be traveling to College Park this Saturday to face the Maryland Terrapins. That's all for this week's Hoosier Highlight. I'm Georgie Thomas. Back to you at the desk.
The Indiana football team secured their second win of the season in a 4-overtime thriller against non-conference opponent, the Akron Zips. IUSTV reporter Gabe Pontones has the recap.
It was ugly, but a win is a win as the Hoosiers took down the Akron Zips in a 29-27 4-overtime affair that had everything from the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good. The Hoosiers' defense looked good. Despite allowing 474 yards, they kept Akron from reaching the end zone on all but 2 drives in regulation and hauled in 3 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown.
As ugly as it was, we found a way to win. So really, really frustrating in a lot of ways, but proud of our defense to just keep us in the game. 3 takeaways, defensive score, obviously difference in the game. Offense was really, really out of sync and really, really performed poorly, and but found a way to win.
Despite the 4-turnover day for the Hoosiers, their offense was unable to really get anything going and was the reason this game was even forced into overtime to begin with.
Up front, didn't block well at all. Probably our worst performance of the season on the offensive line as far as running the football. Look, there's more than just them that are affected. There's tight ends and the quarterbacks and the reads and different things we do, but obviously not near good enough. To get on the goal line, you got to score touchdowns and not have to kick field goals. And obviously got stopped on the 1-2 before we chose to kick a field goal from inside the 1. But starts up front. Got to block better. If we have to make changes up front personnel-wise, and we'll do what we got to do to get that fixed. But that kind of starts, to me, that's where it begins, and then it puts a lot of pressure on third downs with, a young quarterback that had a tough night.
Yeah, we just, we got to execute better in practice. We play a big team, Big Ten team next week, and what we did today out there tonight is not going to cut it. So we got to be better on Sunday and Monday, and the rest of the week next week.
What do you feel are some of the things that can get fixed and improved quickly?
For me, is seeing signals and being better, just being better at reading the defense a little bit more. I was rushed a little bit and I was trying to force things, and that's never good when I do that. But as a team, we just need to have better focus.
The Hoosiers look to keep their winning streak going as they pack their bags for next Saturday as they head to Maryland. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Gabe Pontones.
The Hoosiers will have their first test on the road as they head to Maryland this Saturday to face the Terrapins. Follow along with Gwen Parks all game long as she is making the trek to College Park.
The Indiana golf team shot the lowest score in school history this past weekend, where they finished 3rd at the Wyndon Memorial Classic. Led by senior Drew Salyers, the Hoosiers shot .823 as a team, 9 strokes lower than the previous record. Salliers shot 12 under par, which is the 6th lowest event score in school history. Freshman Cole Starnes was right behind him, shooting 11 under par, the 8th lowest score in school history. Graduate Thomas Hersey tallied 11 birdies on his way to shooting even at 213. Freshman Nick Pisen shot 8 over par during his Hoosier debut, where he carded 10 birdies. The Hoosiers will travel to South Bend on October 1st for the Fighting Irish Classic.
Last Sunday, the field hockey team had their first home game against James Madison University. Our field hockey beat reporter Abby Namella has more details on the game.
The field hockey team kicked off their first home game this season against James Madison University. After losing the day before to Michigan State, the girls were eager for a win on Sunday, and it showed. Indiana dominated in the first half offensively and defensively. Sarah Charlie had her 4th goal this season, which put the Hoosiers up 1-0. Goalie Shannon McNally was yelling at her teammates to anticipate on defense, and that is exactly what they did. She also had some clutch saves that left JMU scoreless in the first half.
JMU came out strong in the second half of the game, scoring 2 goals within the first 6 minutes. While Indiana's offense was a little sleepy and had a hard time maintaining the ball, they came alive in the 4th quarter, scoring 2 goals off 2 penalty corners.
With 45 seconds left in the game, Indiana managed to get a corner that was executed perfectly by senior Megan Dillon. The final score was 3-2. Looking to keep the winning streak alive, the girls will face the University of Michigan on Friday. Abby Namella, IUSTV Sports.
The Lady Hoosiers Golf Club traveled to Toledo, Ohio on Sunday for the Glass City Invitational at the Iverness Club. The club finished 7th with a 54-hole score of 905. Redshirt junior Caroline Smith tied for 9th overall after shooting a 219 with a 3 over par after 3 rounds of play. Sinking birdies on holes 3, 8, 11, and 16. It's the Wake Forest transfer's lowest tournament score of the season so far. The women's golf team will travel to Virginia Beach for the Evie Odom Invitational in October 6th.
Joining us this week to preview the weekend in Hoosier sports is Ben Polonsky. Ben?
Thanks, Maggie. There's a packed schedule ahead for the Hoosiers this weekend. This Thursday, the women's soccer team will travel to Columbus, Ohio to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes at 7 p.m. Friday kicks off the weekend with the field hockey team facing off against number 15 ranked Big Ten opponent Michigan at 3 p.m. at home. Later that night, the women's volleyball team will face Iowa at 7 p.m. in Bloomington. On Saturday, the football team will kick off in College Park, Maryland at 3:30 p.m. to take on the Maryland Terrapin. Women's volleyball will bounce back to play number 2 ranked Nebraska at home at 7:30. To wrap up a busy Indiana weekend, field hockey will face number 11 Ohio State at home at 12 p.m. And women's soccer will play Minnesota at Bill Armstrong Stadium in Bloomington at 1 p.m. That's all for the Hoosiers this weekend. Back to you guys.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Maggie Sullivan.
And I'm Alex Hynes. We'll see you next week.